You've been lied to. They told you to dream big, visualize success, and believe in yourself. But no one told you what happens after the dream. No one warned you that big dreams can paralyze you, that thinking big can make you wait forever. That motivation is just caffeine for the soul. It wakes you up but never gets you moving. Hey everyone, welcome to Action Expo. If you're new here, this is not your usual motivational channel. We don't talk about how to dream. We talk about how to move. Because without action, motivation is just noise. Without work, belief is just fantasy. So if you're the kind of person who's tired of endless motivational talk and wants real execution, you're exactly where you need to be. Now let's get real. America has built an empire on big dreams. Every book, every TED Talk, every viral clip tells you to think big, visualize success, and attract your destiny. But here's the truth. Big dreams are easy. Small actions are hard. Dreaming big feels good because it tricks your brain into thinking you're already doing something. But in reality, you're not moving at all. You're just imagining movement. The phrase "dream big" sounds powerful. It sells books, fills arenas, and fuels entire industries. But it's also one of the biggest traps in American self-help culture. Every time someone tells you to dream big, what they're really saying is, don't move until it's perfect. But nothing ever becomes perfect. So you wait, you plan, you visualize, you convince yourself that preparation is progress. But it's not. It's procrastination dressed as purpose. Let's go back a bit. In the early 1900s, Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich. His message was clear. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. It inspired millions, no doubt. But it also created generations of dreamers who forgot the work part. Belief became the product. Vision became the comfort zone. And a century later, we're living in an age where everyone's motivated, but no one's moving. Now, fast forward to today. Tony Robbins tells people to set massive goals. Mel Robbins says count to 5 and take action. Gary Vee tells everyone to hustle harder. The message keeps evolving, but the core problem stays the same. Most people only consume motivation. They don't apply it. They chase the high, not the habit. America loves inspiration like it loves caffeine. Every morning, millions of people play motivational videos before work, hoping to feel unstoppable. But here's the twist. They mistake feeling inspired for being productive. They get addicted to that temporary rush of energy. And once it fades, they go back to scrolling, back to waiting, back to dreaming. The truth is, you don't need to dream bigger. You need to start smaller. You need to move before you're ready. You need to begin before you believe. Big dreams don't make you successful. Small steps do. Every big company, every athlete, every artist you admire, they all started small. They started messy. They started scared. Let me tell you about Eric, a painter from Kansas City. Eric dreamed of being famous. He imagined his artwork hanging in galleries, his name in magazines. But for years, he never painted. He planned, he researched, he visualized, but he never picked up a brush. He told himself he was waiting for inspiration. Then one day, his 19-year-old cousin started painting murals in local cafes. Simple work, nothing revolutionary. Within a year, his cousin was earning steady commissions. Eric, still dreaming big, realized he had nothing but unused paint and wasted time. That night, something changed. Eric made a deal with himself. Paint one small piece every day, no matter what. No planning, no waiting, just paint. 6 months later, he sold his first piece. A year later, he quit his job. His cousin didn't outdream him, he outworked him. That's the point. Dreams inspire, but work transforms. You see, go big or go home sounds brave, but it kills more dreams than failure ever will. Because when you aim too high too soon, you feel like a failure the moment you fall short. You quit before you learn. You burn out before you grow. That's why this country is full of dreamers who start everything and finish nothing. The American dream isn't dead. It's just buried under distraction. People want to feel successful instead of becoming successful. They want the energy of the dream, not the exhaustion of the work. But success isn't sexy. It's repetitive. It's quiet. It's lonely. It's doing small things again and again until they become something massive. If you're watching this, you probably know there's something you should have started by now. Maybe a project, a channel, a side hustle. A promise to yourself. You've been planning, thinking, dreaming, and that's good. But dreaming isn't doing, and the longer you wait, the heavier that dream becomes. Every day you delay, you feed your doubt and starve your momentum. The truth is, someone out there with less talent, less knowledge, and fewer resources than you is already doing what you've been planning for years. And when they finally succeed, you'll call them lucky. But they're not lucky. They're just in motion. They started small while you were waiting for big. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, take one real step toward your goal. Not a thought, not a post, not a plan, a step. Write the first page. Send the first email. Record the first video. Paint the first stroke. Don't aim for perfect, aim for progress. Because the second you move, the illusion of waiting disappears. In the next part, we'll talk about how American motivational culture tricked us into feeling productive instead of being productive, and how to break free from that cycle once and for all. Motivation in America became a business long before it became a mindset. Somewhere along the line, inspiration stopped being free and started being a product. You don't just get motivated now, you subscribe to it. You buy the books, attend the seminars, scroll through the clips. It's a trillion-dollar industry built on the feeling of potential, not the reality of progress. Think about it. Every motivational speaker, every guru, every best-selling author, what are they really selling? Hope, not results, not methods. Just the emotional high of you can do it. And that's the secret. They don't need you to succeed. They just need you to keep believing that you will someday. Because if you actually achieved what they promise, you'd stop buying, you'd stop watching, you'd stop needing them. This system feeds on your unfinished goals. It survives on your hesitation. Every time you fail, they tell you it's because you didn't believe hard enough. Every time you quit, they tell you to double down on your mindset. It's an endless loop where the solution is always more motivation, never more movement. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing evil about self-help. It can be powerful. It can change lives. But in America, it's turned into entertainment. People binge motivation like Netflix. They finish a 3-hour podcast about discipline, then skip the gym. They watch a video about focus while scrolling comments. Motivation became noise. Loud, empty, temporary. We replaced quiet action with loud inspiration. We glorify the energy of the start, not the endurance of the grind. And we've built a culture that celebrates the announcement more than the achievement. You'll see it everywhere. People posting their new goals, their big plans, their next moves. But rarely do they post the middle part, the boring, repetitive, daily execution that actually creates success. It's almost like America fell in love with the image of progress instead of the reality of it. The social media era made it worse. Every time you see someone post their success story, your brain lights up with comparison. You start feeling behind. So what do? You seek more motivation. You consume more how-to videos. You flood your mind with advice instead of making one decision. You convince yourself that learning is the same as doing. But it's not. Learning without action is intellectual comfort. It makes you feel smarter, but keeps you stuck. That's why so many smart people fail. They overthink, overlearn, and underdo. They live in mental preparation mode, not physical execution mode. Let me tell you about Amanda. She lived in Austin, Texas, brilliant mind. Always had business ideas, apps, fashion lines, online courses. She'd fill entire notebooks with plans, logos, even slogans. But she never launched anything. Why? Because she kept chasing the perfect idea. Every time she was close to starting, she'd find a new concept, a better name, a trendier niche. Years passed. Her friends moved on, started small businesses, grew little by little. Amanda stayed in the planning phase, the most comfortable trap there is. Then one night, her younger brother said something that broke her pattern. He said, "You're addicted to potential." That hit her, because he was right. She wasn't lazy. She was in love with the idea of success, not the work of it. The next day, she launched a simple handmade jewelry page online. No perfect logo, no grand vision. Just small action. Within 3 months, she had steady orders. Within a year, she quit her job. That's what the motivational industry won't tell you. Potential is nothing without pressure. If you don't apply friction, you don't grow. If you don't move, you decay. Dreams expire when you don't feed them with work. And here's the deeper truth. The system needs you to stay almost ready. That's how it profits. Every time you feel lost, there's another course, another mentor, another secret formula. They say you're one mindset shift away from greatness. But what if you're not? What if you're just 1 hour of hard work away? One call, one decision, one post. The American dream was never meant to be a classroom. It was meant to be a workshop. But we turned it into a theater. Everyone's performing productivity instead of practicing it. We post quotes about discipline instead of being disciplined. We share success hacks instead of testing them. And slowly, we've built a generation that looks busy but moves nowhere. You want to know why? Because distraction feels productive, planning feels safe, motivation feels powerful. But none of it builds anything real until you start, till you get dirty, until you fail. So ask yourself this: how many dreams have you delayed because you were waiting for the right mindset? How many goals died inside a notebook that never saw daylight? How much time have you spent preparing instead of doing? You don't need another quote. You don't need another guru. You need silence. You need a start. You need to be okay with the ugly, uncomfortable, messy beginning that no one wants to show. Because that's where real growth hides, in the unrecorded, unseen, unglamorous moments that actually count. In the next part, we're going to go even deeper into the American obsession with instant validation, how the constant need for likes, views, and approval quietly killed discipline, and how you can rebuild it from zero, even when no one's watching. We live in a world where being seen feels more important than being effective. In America today, validation has become a new kind of drug. We crave it, we chase it, we refresh our screens for it. And somewhere in that endless scroll, we forgot what it means to build something in silence. There was a time when people worked in the dark until the light found them. Now we announce every step before we take it. Big things coming soon, we say. But nothing ever comes. Because once you've posted the promise, your brain rewards you like you already did it. You feel accomplished just by announcing intent. That's the trap. The dopamine of declaration replaces the discipline of doing. Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Gary Vee. They all talk about confidence, mindset, personal power. Sure, they mean well. But what their message often misses is this: confidence doesn't come from belief alone. It comes from progress. You can't affirm your way into greatness. You act your way there. When Gary Vee says, document your journey, he's right. But too many people document before they have a journey. They post the beginning and never reach the middle. America became a stage, not a workshop. We're all starring in our own highlight reels, editing our struggles, cutting the messy parts. But success doesn't happen in perfect frames. It happens in private, when no one's cheering, no one's clapping, and no one's even looking. The best work happens when you stop performing for others and start performing for your own progress. Let me tell you about Marcus, a 24-year-old from Detroit. He wanted to be a music producer. He'd post beat snippets online, write long captions about how the grind never stops, and hashtag #DearFutureLegend on every post. But months passed and nothing happened. One day a friend asked him, "How many full songs have you finished?" Marcus paused. None, not one. He had been chasing validation, not creation. Every like gave him a temporary hit of purpose. But when the likes stopped coming, so did his energy. That's when he realized something powerful. Feedback doesn't build foundations, focus does. He stopped posting for attention and started working for skill. He spent nights finishing full tracks, not clips. He stopped telling people about his grind and started living it. 6 months later, one of his full songs got featured by an indie artist with a massive following. Not luck, proof. Because when you stop chasing attention, you start attracting it. People respect consistency more than charisma. They trust results more than rhetoric. You see, America's motivational culture created this illusion that everyone's watching your every move. But the truth is, no one really cares. Not until you give them something to care about. You don't owe the internet updates. You owe yourself effort. And this is where the anti-motivation truth comes in. Discipline isn't pretty. It's not exciting. It's not Instagrammable. It's the 4 a.m. alarm when no one else is up. It's the 10th rejection email when you still hit send again. It's sitting alone with doubt and choosing to act anyway. Mel Robbins says, "You're never going to feel like it." She's absolutely right. But the mistake people make is waiting for motivation to return, as if one more video or quote will reignite the spark. No. You light it by moving. You don't wait for the mood. You create it with motion. That's what American discipline used to mean. Working while the world slept, showing up without applause, earning without validation. Now, it's been replaced by hustle theater. People acting busy for the camera, but avoiding the discomfort of commitment. The irony is that true confidence doesn't scream. It's quiet. It's that calm in your chest when you know you've done the work, when you don't need to announce it. When results start speaking louder than your words. The American dream was never about dreaming big. It was about building bigger. Our grandparents didn't manifest, they made. They worked double shifts, took small steps, and moved with purpose. They didn't talk about potential. They proved it. So here's the challenge for you, yes, you watching this right now. For 1 week, don't post your goals. Don't announce your plans. Don't even talk about what you're building. Just build. Work in silence. When your progress becomes visible, that's when the noise will start, not from you, but from others who finally notice what you've done. And if you do that, you'll experience something that no motivational quote can ever give you: self-respect. The kind that comes from showing up when it's hard. The kind that builds itself quietly, one decision at a time. Because the truth is, you don't need more belief. You need more proof. You don't need another speech. You need another step. Stay until the end of this video, because the next part will break down exactly why motivation without direction is even more dangerous than failure itself, and how it's been quietly shaping the way Americans define success. Motivation without direction is like a fast car with no steering wheel. It feels powerful, but it's completely out of control. You move fast, but you never move forward. And that's exactly what's happening across America right now. We've built a culture of overhyped motivation and underdeveloped direction. Everyone's fired up to do something great, but no one knows what that something is. We chase the feeling of ambition instead of the structure of execution. Gary Vee says, you just have to love the process. But what process? For most people, there isn't one. It's just loud energy, big talk, and no strategy. Motivation without clarity becomes chaos. You run in circles, calling it the grind. You're busy but not productive. You're inspired but not improving. Think about it. How many Americans start a new side hustle every January, only to abandon it by March? It's not because they're lazy. It's because they're lost. Motivation gave them motion but not a map. Let's take Jake, for example, a 29-year-old from Austin, Texas. Jake was obsessed with self-improvement. He watched every motivational podcast, followed every guru, read all the classics, from Napoleon Hill to Jim Rohn to Mel Robbins. Every day he wrote down his affirmations. I'm destined for success. I'm unstoppable. I'm powerful. But months passed and his life looked the same. He had more knowledge but no direction. One night, while rewatching another motivational video, something hit him. He realized he was addicted, not to progress, but to possibility. He was high on potential but allergic to planning, so Jake made a change. He stopped consuming and started creating. He picked one goal, launching a small online design service. He built a simple plan, 1 client a month. That was it. No big dream board, no hype, just action. And in 6 months, that small move turned into a steady income stream. That's the difference. Motivation gives you movement. Direction gives you meaning. Without direction, you're just running on fumes. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But let's be honest. The 2025 American translation of that quote has become, "Whatever I imagine should somehow happen." The original message was never about belief alone. It was about organized thought, definite purpose, and persistent action. Hill wasn't telling you to dream big. He was telling you to discipline your dreams. The problem is, modern motivation cut out the second half of that equation. It turned deep philosophy into viral sound bites. Just believe. Trust the process. The universe has your back. These lines sound good, but they remove responsibility. They make effort optional, and effort was never optional. When you remove direction, you remove accountability. And when you remove accountability, you lose progress. Because every day you're waiting for the next wave of motivation to hit, instead of learning how to swim. That's why the most powerful people you'll ever meet aren't the loudest. They're the most focused. They wake up with a plan. They execute even when they don't feel like it. They don't chase hype. They create habits. This is the anti-motivation truth that no one wants to admit. Your success will never feel exciting while it's happening. It's slow. It's repetitive. It's often invisible, but it's real. The loudest people in the room are often the least consistent. They talk about vision, not direction. They talk about success, not systems. But the quiet builders, the ones who lay brick after brick every day, they're the ones who wake up years later surrounded by results. That's the American reality no one wants to face. We celebrate the dreamers more than the doers. We quote their speeches but ignore their sweat. We love the idea of change, not the process of change. So here's another challenge for you. For the next 7 days, I want you to practice intentional direction. Don't just wake up motivated. Wake up mapped out. Write one small, measurable goal every morning. Then spend your first hour executing it. No distractions. No scrolling, no hype. Just pure direction in motion. At the end of those 7 days, you'll feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Clarity. And that clarity is more valuable than any motivational high, because motivation fades. But direction compounds. Motivation will get you started. Direction will get you somewhere. And when you combine both, when your belief meets your blueprint, that's when the American dream becomes real again. Not because you wished for it, but because you worked for it. So stop chasing the next wave of inspiration. Start chasing your next step. Because motion without direction is chaos. But motion with purpose? That's unstoppable. Stay with me. Because in the next video, we're diving even deeper into how discipline beats desire every single time, and why most Americans fail. Not because they don't dream, but because they can't commit, I've spent years watching people talk about what they're going to do. I've heard hundreds of some days. Someday I'll start my business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll take control of my life. But the truth is, someday isn't on the calendar. It's a fantasy people use to delay discomfort. And maybe that's the biggest trap of motivation. It lets you feel productive while you're doing nothing. You get inspired, you plan, you visualize. But when the hard part starts, when it's time to move, the inspiration fades and the excuses take over. America doesn't have a motivation problem. It has a movement problem. We've been sold on feeling ready instead of being ready. And while the gurus and speakers keep selling motivation in new packaging, real progress is being built quietly by people you'll never see on stage. The single mom working 2 jobs and taking night classes, she doesn't need motivation. She's living it. The immigrant who came here with nothing and built a business from scratch, he didn't manifest it, he earned it. The veteran who came home and started over day by day, rebuilding his identity, that's action in motion. That's real strength. Those are the stories we don't celebrate enough in America, because they don't look glamorous. They don't have flashy quotes or Instagram reels, but they represent what this country was built on: grit, sacrifice, and follow-through. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "Action is the real measure of intelligence." But somewhere along the line, we replaced intelligence with inspiration. We started thinking that knowing what to do is the same as doing it. But it's not. Reading about fitness doesn't make you fit. Listening to business podcasts doesn't make you an entrepreneur. Watching motivational videos doesn't make you disciplined. Action does. Always. Tony Robbins says, "Where focus goes, energy flows." But focus without execution is still daydreaming. You can stare at your goals all you want, but until you move your hands, your life stays still. And that's what Action Expo stands for. Not empty talk. Not another dose of feel-good fluff. This channel isn't about dreaming big, it's about doing bigger. Every time you watch a video here, I want you to walk away not inspired by, but disturbed. I want you to feel that sting of truth, the kind that makes you put your phone down and start working. Because that's the only moment that matters. The moment you stop consuming and start creating. Let me leave you with one last story. There was a man in Ohio who wanted to run a marathon. He was 42, overweight, and had never run more than half a mile. He watched hundreds of motivational videos, bought expensive shoes, joined online running groups, and told everyone he was training. But deep down, he was stuck in planning mode. One morning, while scrolling through his phone, he saw a quote, "You can't steer a parked car." Something clicked. He got up, put on those shoes, and ran. Not far, just 1 block. The next day, 2 blocks. Then a mile. He didn't post it. He didn't tell anyone. He just ran. Day after day, block by block. Months later, he crossed the marathon finish line. No camera crew. No celebration. Just silence and that overwhelming realization that the only person he ever needed to impress was himself. That's the kind of victory motivation will never give you, earned confidence. So here's my challenge to you, America. For the next 30 days, I want you to replace every motivational video you'd normally watch with 1 hour of action. You don't need more ideas. You need more execution. Don't wait until you're ready. Start while you're scared. Because fear is a sign you're doing something real. At the end of those 30 days, come back to this channel. Tell me in the comments what changed. Tell me what you built, what you broke through, what you finally started. Because here at Action Expo, we don't measure success by words. We measure it by work. And if you're new here, welcome. You're not here for comfort. You're here for clarity. You're here to wake up, to get uncomfortable, to stop living inside your someday. Because motivation fades, but movement builds momentum. This isn't a speech. This is your sign to start. And remember, talk inspires few, but action inspires generations.